In the misty outskirts of Bristol, a small cottage stood as a testament to quiet resilience. Emma Thompson, a young woman with tired eyes and determined spirit, lived there with her elderly father, Robert. The walls of their modest home whispered stories of struggle and hope, telling a tale of a family holding on to each other through life's most challenging moments. Emma worked part-time at the local library, her slender fingers carefully arranging books and helping visitors. Every penny she earned went towards their basic needs: food, medicine, and the ever-mounting bills that seemed to grow faster than their income. Her dreams of becoming a writer had long been pushed into the dusty corners of her heart, covered by the practical blanket of survival. Robert, once a strong carpenter, now sat in his worn armchair by the window. Age and illness had taken their toll, transforming the once vibrant man into a shadow of his former self. Emma would spend her evenings beside him, reading books, adjusting his blanket, and preparing simple meals that stretched their limited budget. Their life was a delicate dance of survival. Emma would wake before sunrise, prepare breakfast, help her father with his morning routine, and then rush to the library. Her colleagues noticed her quiet dedication, how she never complained, how she always wore a gentle smile despite the weight of her responsibilities. The cottage was small but filled with memories. Photographs of her late mother hung on the walls, a reminder of happier times. Emma's mother had been a source of inspiration, always encouraging her daughter to write, to dream, to believe in something beyond their current circumstances. During quiet moments, Emma would secretly write in her notebook short stories, fragments of memories, dreams she couldn't speak aloud. These writings were her lifeline, her escape from the daily challenges that surrounded her. She wrote about hope, about ordinary people doing extraordinary things, about the quiet strength that lives in the hearts of those who never give up. Money was always tight. Some months they barely managed to pay the electricity bill. Emma would carefully calculate every expense, cutting corners wherever possible. She mended her own clothes, cooked simple meals, and found joy in the smallest of savings. Her father would sometimes feel guilty, apologizing for being a burden, but Emma would simply hold his hand and smile. The library became more than just a workplace for Emma. It was her sanctuary, her window to a world beyond their small cottage. She loved helping readers, recommending books, and occasionally sharing a kind word with lonely visitors. Her compassion was her greatest strength, a light that shone brightest in the darkest moments. Weekends were their special time. Emma would spend hours with her father, reading to him, talking about memories and sharing dreams. Robert, despite his failing health, remained her biggest supporter. He would listen to her writing, offering gentle advice and unconditional love. Their community knew them as the quiet, resilient pair. Neighbors would occasionally bring extra food, help with small repairs, or simply offer a kind word. In their small corner of Bristol, Emma and Robert were a symbol of love and perseverance. Emma's writing remained her secret passion. She dreamed of one day publishing a book, of telling stories that could touch people's hearts. But for now, her story was about survival, about love, about holding on to hope when everything else seemed uncertain. As evening fell, Emma would sit by the window, watching the sunset paint the sky in beautiful colors. Her father would rest peacefully, and she would write in her notebook, capturing moments of beauty, resilience, and quiet hope. Their life wasn't easy. It was a constant battle against financial challenges, health struggles, and the weight of unspoken dreams. But in their small cottage, love was the strongest currency. Emma's determination, her father's love, and their unbreakable bond were a testament to the human spirit's incredible capacity to survive and find joy. The world outside might be complex and challenging, but inside their home there was peace, there was hope, and most importantly there was love, a love that could overcome any obstacle, any challenge, any limitation. As night settled over Bristol, Emma continued to write, her pen moving softly across the page, telling a story of quiet, heroism, of a daughter's love, and of dreams that refused to die. The end, the rain drummed against the library windows, creating a soft melody that matched the quiet atmosphere inside. Emma moved between bookshelves, organizing returned books with her usual careful attention. Most days felt the same, predictable, routine, with little hope of change. That Tuesday began like any other. The library was nearly empty, with just a few readers scattered around the reading areas. Emma didn't notice the man in the crisp grey suit who had been watching her for the past hour. He was different from the usual visitors, more professional, more observant. During her lunch break, Emma was discussing classic literature with an elderly reader. Her passion was evident in every word. She spoke about books as if they were living, breathing things, each story a world waiting to be explored. The man in the grey suit listened carefully, his interest growing with every moment. "Excuse me," he said softly, approaching Emma after the conversation ended. His name was Michael Roberts, a representative from a small local publishing company. "I couldn't help but overhear your discussion about literature." Emma felt nervous. She wasn't used to strangers approaching her, especially not someone who looked so professional. Her hands instinctively smoothed her simple work uniform, feeling suddenly self-conscious. Michael explained that he was looking for fresh writing talent. "Would you be interested in sharing some of your own writing?" he asked, his eyes kind and encouraging. For a moment, Emma's world stood still. Her secret notebook, the one filled with stories she had never shown anyone, seemed to burn in her. Bag. She hesitated, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and fear. "I'm not sure," she mumbled, looking down at her hands. Years of self-doubt had taught her to be cautious about her dreams. Michael understood her hesitation. He gently explained about a local writing competition, one that celebrated new writers, particularly those with unique life experiences. "Your passion," he said, "is something special. Would you consider submitting something?" That evening, Emma returned home with her mind spinning. Her father noticed her unusual excitement. "Something happened today?" Robert asked, his eyes twinkling with curiosity. She shared the encounter, her voice a mixture of hope and uncertainty. Robert listened carefully, remembering how Emma had always loved writing. "To your mother would have been so proud," he said softly, reaching out to hold her hand. The writing competition wasn't just about winning. It represented something more, a chance to break free from their current circumstances, a possibility of something different. The deadline was 3 months away, which felt both impossibly short and wonderfully long. Emma spent that night looking through her notebook. Years of hidden stories, carefully written during quiet moments at the library, during late nights caring for her father, during moments of hope and struggle. Each page was a piece of her heart, a fragment of her life. She remembered her mother's words, "Your stories matter. They have the power to touch people's hearts." Those words had been her constant companion during difficult times. The next few days were a whirlwind of emotions. Emma began selecting her best pieces, typing them carefully, on an old computer her father had bought years ago. Each word felt like a small rebellion against their challenging circumstances. Her colleagues at the library noticed a change. Emma seemed more alive, more focused. Her usually quiet demeanor now carried a spark of excitement. She was careful, not to get her hopes too high, but the possibility of something changing was intoxicating. Robert watched his daughter with pride. Despite their financial struggles, despite the challenges they faced, Emma never lost her ability to dream. Her resilience was her greatest strength. As the first draft took shape, Emma realized this was more than just a writing competition. It was a chance to tell the stories of people like her, ordinary individuals facing extraordinary challenges, finding hope in the smallest moments. The notebook that had been her secret companion for years was now becoming something more. It was becoming a bridge to a possible future, a testament to her dreams, and a celebration of her journey. The writing competition deadline loomed. Like a mountain Emma had to climb. 3 months seemed both an eternity and a heartbeat. Her days became a delicate dance of responsibility and dreams, each moment carefully balanced between caring for her father and chasing her writing ambition. Every evening after her library shift, Emma would settle into a small corner of their cottage. Her father's old writing desk, tucked near the window, became her sanctuary. The lamp would cast a warm glow as her fingers moved across the keyboard, transforming her life experiences into words. Robert became her unexpected ally. Despite his failing health, he found new purpose in supporting Emma's dream. He would organize her writing space, bringing her cups of tea, arranging her papers, and listening to her read draft chapters. Their relationship, once strained by financial stress, began to heal through this shared creative journey. "Tell me about the characters," Robert would say, his eyes bright with interest. Emma would share her stories, tales of ordinary people facing extraordinary challenges. Her writing drew from their own life experiences, capturing the quiet strength of those who survive against all odds. Her manuscript began to take shape, a story about a caregiver's journey inspired by her own life. She wrote about love, sacrifice, and the invisible strength that families develop when facing difficult times. Each chapter felt like peeling back a layer of her own heart. At the library, Emma's colleagues noticed the change. Her usually reserved demeanor now carried a quiet excitement. She worked diligently, but her mind often drifted to her writing. Colleagues would catch her scribbling notes during lunch breaks, her imagination working overtime. The competition. Rules were strict. 3 months to complete a full manuscript, with a focus on real-life experiences. Emma knew her story was different. It wasn't about grand adventures or dramatic moments. It was about the small victories, the daily acts of love that often go unnoticed. Her writing routine became sacred. After helping her father with dinner and evening medications, she would settle into her writing. Some nights, exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her. Her eyes would grow heavy, her fingers tired, but the story kept pulling her forward. Robert became her biggest supporter and first listener. Each chapter would be read aloud to him, his feedback gentle but honest. "Your mother would be so proud," he would say, his eyes glistening with emotion. Those words became Emma's fuel, her motivation to continue. Financial challenges didn't disappear. Bills continued to pile up, and every spare moment was a careful negotiation between writing and survival. Emma picked up extra shifts at the library. Careful to balance her responsibilities with her dream, the manuscript became more than just a competition entry. It was a love letter to her mother, to her father, to every caregiver who had ever sacrificed their own dreams for those they loved. Emma wrote about the invisible heroes, those who find strength in quiet moments of love and dedication. Some nights doubt would creep in. Emma would look at her pages and wonder if her story was good enough. The competition attracted writers from across the region, many with more formal education and writing experience. But then she would remember her mother's words, "Your story matters." Her father's health remained a constant concern. Some days were better than others. On difficult days, Emma would write between caring for him, her manuscript a lifeline of hope and possibility. Their bond grew stronger with each shared moment, each chapter completed. The library became her extended writing space. During quiet moments, she would edit her work, refining each sentence with careful attention. Her colleagues began to notice a change, a quiet confidence that hadn't been there before. As the deadline approached, Emma realized the journey was more important than the destination. The act of writing had already changed her. She had discovered a strength she didn't know she possessed, a voice that had been waiting to be heard. Robert watched his daughter with pride. The little girl who used to sit on his lap and listen to stories was now creating her own. Their small cottage became a testament to hope, to the power of dreams, to the strength of family. With each page, Emma was writing more than a manuscript. She was writing their story, a story of love, resilience, and the incredible power of never giving up. The end the manuscript sat on Emma's desk like a mountain of uncertainty. Days before the competition deadline, doubt crept in like a silent, unwelcome visitor. Her fingers, once confident and swift, now hovered uncertainly over the keyboard. Night after night, Emma questioned every word. Was her story good enough? Would anyone care about the quiet struggles of a caregiver? The voices of self-doubt grew louder with each passing moment. She remembered all the times people had told her that writing wasn't a real job, that her dreams were nothing more than childish fantasies. Robert noticed the change in his daughter. Her usual determination had been replaced by a fragile uncertainty. He watched her move around their small cottage, her shoulders heavy with invisible weight. "Come sit with me," he would say softly, offering a moment of comfort. During one of their evening talks, Robert shared a story from his past, a time when he had almost given up on his carpentry dreams. "Doubt is a tricky thing," he told Emma. "It makes you forget how strong you truly are." His words were a gentle reminder of the resilience that ran in their family. At the library, Emma became quieter. Her colleagues noticed her distraction, the way her eyes would drift to the window, lost in thought. The manuscript seemed to mock her, a reminder of everything she feared about herself. One particularly difficult evening, Emma found herself crying silently. The weight of her responsibilities, the financial struggles, the fear of failure, everything came crashing down. Her father found her in this moment of vulnerability, her head resting on her unfinished manuscript. "Your mother always said that the best stories come from the hardest moments," Robert reminded her. He spoke about Emma's mother, a woman who had always believed in the power of storytelling. Those memories became a lifeline, pulling Emma back from the edge of giving up. The competition deadline was getting closer. Emma began to understand that her doubt was just another challenge to overcome. She thought about the countless caregivers, like herself, people who found strength in the most unexpected places. Late one night, she began to rewrite parts of her manuscript. But this time something was different. Instead of trying to make her story perfect, she focused on making it real. She wrote about the small moments of joy, the unexpected laughter, the love that exists even in difficult times. Her father became her unexpected writing coach. He would listen to her drafts, offer gentle suggestions, and remind her of the stories they had shared over the years. "Write from your heart," he would say, "not from your fear." The library became her sanctuary. During these weeks, between her shifts, she would steal moments to edit, to refine, to believe in her story again. Her colleagues began to notice a change, a quiet determination replacing her previous uncertainty. Emma realized that her doubt was not a weakness, but a part of her creative process. Each moment of uncertainty was also a moment of potential growth. She remembered her mother's favorite saying, "The most beautiful flowers grow from the hardest ground." As the deadline approached, something shifted inside Emma. Her manuscript was more than just a competition entry. It was a tribute to her family, to her mother's memory, to every caregiver who had ever felt invisible. Robert's health remained fragile, but his spirit was strong. He would watch Emma work, his eyes filled with pride and love. Their small cottage became a battlefield of creativity, of hope, of overcoming personal limitations. The night before the deadline, Emma read her entire manuscript aloud to her father. Her voice was steady, her words clear. Gone was the uncertainty of previous weeks. She had found her voice, her story, her truth. "Your mother would be so proud," Robert whispered, tears glistening in his eyes. Those words were more valuable than any competition prize. As dawn broke, Emma completed her final edit. The manuscript was more than just pages of text. It was a testament to love, to resilience, to the strength that lives within ordinary people. She had confronted her doubts and emerged stronger. The story was ready. The end. The autumn morning was crisp and clear when the letter arrived. Emma's hands trembled as she opened the envelope, her father watching with hopeful eyes. The world seemed to pause in that moment of anticipation. Third place in the writing. Competition. The words danced before her eyes, almost unreal. A modest cash prize and the promise of publication. Small victories that felt like mountains moved. Robert reached out and squeezed her hand, his eyes brimming with pride. News traveled quickly in their small community. The local library displayed a poster announcing Emma's achievement. Colleagues who had watched her struggle for years now looked at her with newfound respect. Her story of a caregiver's journey had touched something deep within the judges' hearts. The cash prize meant more than money. It was validation. Validation of her late mother's belief in her. Validation of her father's unwavering support. validation of her own dreams that had been tucked away for so long. Local bookshops began to display her work. Emma would walk past these windows, hardly believing her own eyes. Her story, their story, was now out in the world, touching hearts she had never imagined reaching. Robert's health remained fragile, but his spirit was brighter than ever. "Your writing," he would say, "is our family's legacy." Each day became a celebration of their shared journey, of the love that had carried them through difficult times. The local newspaper ran a small feature about Emma. A photograph showed her standing beside her father, both smiling, a testament to the love that had inspired her writing. Readers began sending letters, sharing their own stories of caregiving, of hope, of resilience. Emma continued working at the library, but something had changed. Her colleagues saw a new confidence in her steps, a spark in her eyes that hadn't been there before. She began helping other aspiring writers, sharing the lessons she had learned. The writing competition was just the beginning. Publishers started showing interest in her full manuscript. Emma realized her dream of becoming a writer was no longer just a distant hope, but a growing reality. Her manuscript told a story bigger than herself, a story of ordinary people finding extraordinary strength in love, in family, in perseverance. It spoke to anyone who had ever felt invisible, who had ever struggled, who had ever found hope in the smallest of moments. Local writing groups invited Emma to speak. She would share her journey, not as a tale of grand success, but as a story of quiet determination. Her message was simple. Dreams don't have expiration dates. Hope can be found in the most unexpected places. The cash prize helped them catch up on bills, repair their small cottage, and buy much-needed medical supplies for Robert. But the real treasure was something money couldn't buy. The recognition, the hope, the belief in their own potential. Emma began working on her next manuscript. Her father continued to be her first reader, her strongest supporter. Their bond, tested by financial struggles and health challenges, had become unbreakable. The local community embraced her story. People would stop her on the street, share their own experiences, find connection in her words. Emma realized that writing was more than just putting words on paper. It was about creating human connection. As winter approached, Emma reflected on their journey. The manuscript that had once been a secret collection of late-night writings was now a beacon of hope. She had transformed their struggles into something beautiful, something meaningful. Robert's health continued to be a challenge, but their home was filled with more love and hope than ever before. Each day was a gift, each moment a story waiting to be told. The writing competition had been more than just a contest. It was a turning point, a moment when Emma realized the power of her own voice, the strength of her own story. As evening fell, Emma would sit by her father, writing, sharing, dreaming. Their small cottage remained a testament to love, to resilience, to the incredible power of never giving up. Her story was just beginning. The end.